I was 17 when my mother died. Not 17 and ready to face the world, 17 and still sleeping with my childhood stuffed rabbit because it smelled like her lavender hand cream. 17 and convinced that if I kept her coffee mug on the kitchen counter exactly where she always left it, some part of her would still exist in our house. The morning Mom died, I'd been annoyed with her. Isn't that the cruelest joke? She'd asked me 3 thank you as if I had my biology textbook. And I'd snapped at her that I wasn't a child anymore. Those were the last real words I said to her. Not I love you. Not thank you for caring. Just irritation wrapped in teenage arrogance. The stroke took her at her desk at work. She was a paralegal at a small firm downtown, the kind of place where everyone knew everyone's birthday and brought homemade cookies on Fridays. Her colleague found her slumped over a brief she'd been editing, pen still in her hand. They said it was fast. They said she didn't suffer. They said a lot of things that were supposed to make it better, but only made the silence in our house louder. Dad fell apart in a way that terrified me. He was always the steady one, the one who fixed things and knew the answers. But Ramif turned Hyan into someone I didn't recognize, a man who forgot to eat, who wore the same clothes for days, who stared at her empty chair at dinner until the food went cold. My younger brother Tyler was only 12, still young enough to cry openly and ask questions that had no good answers. I became the one who held things together, who made sure Tyler did his homework, who reminded Dad about bills and appointments, who kept Mom's garden alive because I couldn't let one more piece of her disappear. For 2 years, we existed in this strange suspended state. The house became a museum of her memory. Her reading glasses stayed on the nightstand. Her jacket hung by the door. Her recipes, written in her careful handwriting, remained pinned to the corkboard in the kitchen. We didn't talk about moving forward because moving forward felt like betrayal. Then Dad met Valerie at a Ramif support room-up. I should have been happy. I should have recognized that he was drowning and needed someone to remind Hyan that life continues. But all I felt was a cold dread settling into my bones. Valerie was everything my mother wasn't. Mom had been quiet and thoughtful, someone who chose her words carefully and found joy in small moments. A good book, Tyler's terrible jokes, the first tomatoes from her garden. Valerie was loud and constantly in motion, filling every silence with chatter, rearranging furniture because she couldn't stand disorder, bringing over her own dishes and decorations before they were even engaged. Your father needs to heal, she told me one afternoon. 6 months into their relationship, we were in the kitchen, and she was reorganizing the spice cabinet. Mom's spice cabinet, which had its own logic that only made sense if you'd cooked beside her for years. Staying stuck in the past isn't healthy for anyone. I watched her move the cumin in front of the cinnamon, reversing the order Mom had kept, and felt something hard lodge in my throat. Has not stuck. Has remembering her. That's different. Valerie's smile didn't reach her eyes. Of course, sweetheart. But there's a difference between remembering and refusing to move forward. Your mother wouldn't want Hyan to stop living. The presumption of it that she could speak for my mother, that she could determine what Mom would have wanted, made my hands shake. But I was 19 by then, home for my first year of college for the summer. And Dad looked happier than he had in 2 years. So I swallowed the words I wanted to say and walked away. They got married that fall in a small ceremony at the courthouse. Dad asked me to be there, and I went because I loved Hyan, even though everything in me screamed that this was too fast, too soon, too wrong. Tyler was 15 by then, old enough to be polite but young enough to still be raw with Ramif. He wore the suit Mom had bought Hyan for 8th Ramade Ramaduation and barely spoke during the dinner afterward. Valerie moved into our house the next week. Our house now. She corrected me when I said something about Dad's house. She said it with a bright smile, like she was being generous, like she was welcoming us into her space rather than inserting herself into ours. The changes started small. A new shower curtain in the bathroom Mom used to use. Different hand soap that smelled like artificial flowers instead of the unscented kind Mom preferred. A throw pillow on the couch that clashed with everything else but that Valerie insisted brought energy to the room. It's just a pillow, Dad said when I mentioned it. He was making coffee, using the new coffee maker Valerie had brought, because our old one, the one Mom used every morning, was outdated and inefficient. Try to make her feel welcome, honey. This is her home too now. But it wasn't just a pillow. It was the beginning of an erasure so Ramadual I almost didn't notice it happening until I came home for Thanksgiving break 3 months later, and Mom's favorite painting, a watercolor of the beach where she and Dad had gotten engaged, was gone from the hallway. Where's the painting? I asked Dad. We were alone in the garage while he looked for the turkey roasting pan. He didn't look at me. Valerie thought the hallway needed updating. She found a nice modern print to replace it. Replace it? The word came out sharper than I intended. Where is it? Where's Mom's painting? In the attic, I think. Or maybe he paused, and something in his expression made my stomach drop. Valerie might have donated some things. She's been doing a lot of organizing. I found the painting 3 days later at a Goodwill donation center 20 minutes away, still in its frame, priced at $12. I bought it back with shaking hands and kept it in my dorm room where Valerie couldn't reach it. That should have been my warning. That should have been the moment I fought back harder. But I was 20 and trying to build my own life, and I told myself that as long as I kept pieces of Mom's safe, her jewelry ID taken before Valerie could reorganize it, photos ID scanned and backed up in 3 different places, her recipe box ID hidden in my closet, it would be okay. Dad deserved to be happy. Tyler needed stability. I could carry Mom's memory for all of us. I was wrong. The text from Tyler came during my spring semester finals. 3 words. Come home. Emergency. My first thought was that something had happened to Dad. A car accident. A heart attack. Something that would explain the cold terror in those 3 words. I called Tyler immediately, barely breathing until he picked up. It's not Dad, he said before I could ask. His voice sounded wrong, tight and anatomy in a way my little brother never was. It's Valerie. You need to come home. Today, if you can. Please. I made the 3-hour drive in 2.5. My mind spinning through possibilities. Tyler wouldn't tell me details over the phone, just kept saying I had to see it for myself. When I pulled into our driveway at 7 that evening, the house looked the same from the outside, the 2-story colonial where I'd grown up, where Mom had planted roses along the fence every spring, where Tyler had broken his arm falling out of the oak tree in 3rd Ramade. Tyler was waiting on the front porch, head remounted taller since Christmas, nearly 6 feet now. But in that moment, he looked 12 again, lost and trying not to cry. She did it while Dad was at that conference in Boston, he said. Started Wednesday, finished yesterday. Dad gets back tomorrow night. Did what? But even as I asked, I felt something cold settling in my chest. Tyler just opened the front door. The living room hit me first. The couch, the one Mom had spent 3 weeks choosing. That soft rame fabric shed loved because it was practical but still pretty, was gone. In its place sat a stark white leather sectional that looked like it belonged in a furniture showroom. The coffee table Mom had refinished herself, sanding and staining it over a whole weekend while Dad and I helped, had been replaced with a glass and chrome monstrosity. The curtains were different. The rug was different. Even the lamp that had been my grandmother's was missing. But it was the wall that made my knees weak. The wall where Mom had hung our family photos, 20 years of memories in mismatched frames, shed collected from thrift stores and garage sales. Each one chosen with care was blank. Completely blank. Just empty beige paint where our history used to be. The kitchen's worse, Tyler said quietly. He was right. Mom's kitchen, and it had always been Mom's kitchen. The heart of our home where Shed taught me to make pie crust and helped Tyler with homework while dinner cooked was unrecognizable. The white cabinets Shed painted herself were now a dark rame. The cheerful yellow walls had been painted a cold, modern rame. The butcher block countertop, where Wed rolled out Christmas cookies every year, was gone, replaced with white quartz. But worse than any of that, Mom's recipe box was missing. The wooden box her mother had given her, filled with handwritten cards spanning 3 generations. Some of them so old and stained, you had to handle them carefully. Recipes that held our history. My grandmother's Depression-era cake. Mom's friend's lasagna that Tyler requested for every birthday. The cookies Mom had perfected over years of experimentation. Where is it? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Where's the recipe box? Tyler's expression answered before his words did. I tried to stop her. I told her it was Mom's. That it was important. She said. His voice cracked. She said it was just taking up space. That she had all her recipes digitally, and we could use those. She threw it away. Threw it away? I couldn't process it. She threw away Mom's recipe box? I went through the outside trash. It's not there. I think she took it to the dump, or I don't know. It's gone. I'm sorry. I tried. But I was at school when she started. And by the thank you I got home. I pulled Hyen into a hug, feeling Hyen shake. It's not your fault. None of this is your fault. But inside, I was screaming. The recipe box, the one thing that held Mom's handwriting, her notes, her voice telling us to add extra vanilla or don't overmix. Gone. Thrown away like trash. I forced myself to walk through the rest of the house, documenting everything with my phone camera, though each room was a fresh knife wound. The dining room, where we'd eaten every holiday meal, had new furniture, new everything. The mantle where Mom had displayed Tyler's and my school photos, that careful chronology of us growing up, was empty, except for some generic decorative objects that looked like they came from HomeGoods. "Where are the photos?" I asked. "All of them?" Tyler led me to the garage. There, shoved into 2 cardboard boxes marked "Donate" in Valerie's precise handwriting, were our family photos. Not just the framed ones from the walls, but albums, our entire documented history, including photos of Mom, pictures of her pregnant with me and Tyler, pictures of our family trips, pictures of her and Dad on their wedding day. Next to the boxes were bags of other items. Mom's gardening tools, her favorite throw blanket, the decorative plates Shed collected, Tyler's baby book, and mine, with our hospital bracelets and first drawings, the quilt my grandmother had made for Mom and Dad's wedding. Everything that made this house our home, everything that carried Mom's touch or our family's history, crammed into boxes and bags to be given away or thrown out. Erased? I sat on the cold garage floor next to those boxes and cried for the first thank you in since Mom's funeral. Not quiet tears, the ugly, gasping kind that hurt your chest and make you feel like you can't breathe. Tyler sat next to me, and we held each other while the reality settled over us. Valerie hadn't just redecorated. Shed systematically removed every trace of our mother from the home Shed built with our father. I called Dad. Tyler said after a while, 3 thank you wins. He keeps saying Valerie has a right to make the house feel like hers. That I'm being dramatic. That we need to support their marriage. He doesn't know how bad it is. Once he sees, he won't care. Tyler's voice was flat, defeated. Or hell, convince himself it's fine. That we're overreacting. That Valerie deserves to have her own style. Has already defending her. And he hasn't even seen what she did. I wanted to tell Hyan he was wrong, but it'd seen how Dad had changed over the past year, how he'd started echoing Valerie's opinions, how he'd dismissed my concerns about the painting, how he'd stopped talking about Mom unless Valerie wasn't around, how he'd let her organize us all into forgetting. "What do we do?" Tyler asked. He was looking at me the way he used to when he was little, and I was the big sister who knew all the answers. Except I didn't have any answers. I was 20 years old, and my stepmother had just erased my dead mother from our family home, and I didn't know how to fix it. "We save what we can," I said finally. "Take these boxes to my car. They'll store them at my apartment." And then I took a shaky breath. Then we wait for Dad to come home, and we make Hyan see what she's done. We spent the next 2 hours loading my car with our history. The boxes barely fit, and I had to rearrange everything twice. As we worked, I noticed other missing things. Mom's books from the shelf in the living room, the tea set her aunt had given her from England, the framed embroidery Shed done when she was pregnant with me. All gone. "There's more," Tyler said as we closed the trunk. "She took down Mom's garden too." I felt the words like a physical blow. "What?" "Hired landscapers yesterday. They pulled everything out. All the roses, the herbs, the perennials Mom spent years cultivating. It's all gone. They put in some kind of modern rock garden thing with ramasses." I walked around to the backyard, and it was true. Mom's garden, her sanctuary. The place where Shed taught me the names of plants and how to tell when tomatoes were ready to pick had been bulldozed. The roses Shed babied through harsh winters were gone. The herb garden where Shed Ramon basil and rosemary and thyme was gone. In their place was a minimalist landscape of ornamental ramasses and river rocks that looked like every other suburban yard on the block. Beautiful, maybe, if you didn't know what had been there before. Sterile, generic, nothing like Mom. I stood there as the sun set, looking at where her garden used to be, and something inside me changed. This wasn't about decorating preferences anymore. This wasn't about Valerie wanting to make the house her own. This was deliberate erasure. This was cruelty disguised as interior design, and I wasn't going to let her get away with it. Dad came home the next evening. He'd spent the day at the house with Tyler, both of us bracing for the confrontation we knew was coming. We heard his car pull into the driveway, heard Valerie's bright voice meeting Hyan at the door, heard her giving Hyan a tour of the updates Shed made as a surprise. "What do you think?" Valerie's voice carried from the living room. "I wanted to give us a fresh start, make this feel like our home together." There was a long pause. Then Dad said, in a voice that sounded carefully neutral. "It's certainly different. You've been busy. Do you like it?" I worked so hard to create a more modern aesthetic. The old furniture was so dated, and I thought, where are the photos? Dad's voice had an edge now. "The family photos that were on the mantle? Oh, I packed those away. We can go through them together and choose new ones." I thought we could create a gallery wall in the hallway with photos of all of us. You, me, the kids. A blended family display. I walked into the living room then, Tyler behind me. Dad looked older than he had at Christmas. His hair rameur at the temples, new lines around his eyes. He was standing in the middle of the room, slowly turning to take in all the changes. And I watched his face as he processed what Valerie had done. "Hi, sweetheart," he said when he saw me, trying to smile. "I didn't know you were coming home this weekend." Tyler called me. I kept my voice even. "Dad, we need to talk about this." "I know it's a lot of change," he started. She threw away Mom's recipe box. The words came out hard and sharp. "The one with Grandma's recipes. The one with Mom's handwriting in it." She threw it away like garbage. Dad's face went pale. "What? No, that's Valerie wouldn't." He turned to her. "Where's Sarah's recipe box?" Valerie's expression flickered just for a second. I saw something calculated behind her eyes before settling back into sympathetic concern. "Richard." I went through the kitchen very carefully. I kept everything that was valuable. But there was a lot of clutter. Old cards and papers. Things that were falling apart. I thought, "The recipe box," I said, my voice rising. "With Mom's handwriting. With 3 generations of our family recipes. You threw it away." I didn't realize. Valerie's hand fluttered to her throat. "Richard, there was so much old paper in the kitchen. I couldn't know which scraps were important. I'm sorry if I accidentally—" "It was in a wooden box," Tyler said quietly, with Sarah's recipes carved on the lid. "Grandma made it for Mom as a wedding present. It wasn't a scrap of paper. It was in the cabinet next to the stove, where it's always been." The room went silent. Dad was staring at Valerie, with an expression I'd never seen before, confusion warring with the beginning of understanding. "You said you'd be careful with Sarah's things," he said slowly. "You promised me you'd respect." "I have respected them." Valerie's voice took on a wounded tone. "But Richard, it's been 4 years. At some point, we have to build our own life together. Your children are holding on so tightly to the past that they can't accept me. I've tried so hard to make this work, to be patient, but they fight me at every turn." "That's not fair," I said. "We haven't fought anything. We've watched you systematically remove Mom from this house. And now you're playing victim because we're upset that you threw away irreplaceable family heirlooms? I am not the villain here." Valerie's mask was slipping now, her voice sharp. "I married a man with children who refused to let their father move on, who want to live in a shrine to a dead woman." "Don't." The word came from Dad, and it was so commanding that everyone stopped. "Don't talk about Sarah like that. Not in this house." Valerie's eyes widened. "Richard, I didn't mean. Where are all the photos?" He was looking around now with new eyes, seeing what Tyler and I had seen. The ones from the walls. Tyler and Lily's baby pictures. Our wedding album. "Where are they?" "In boxes in the garage." Her voice was defensive now. "I was going to go through them with you. Create a new arrangement. You were going to throw them away." I said it flatly. "Just like you did with the painting. Just like you did with the recipe box. They're in boxes marked donate. Along with Mom's gardening tools and the quilt my grandmother made and every other piece of her you could find." Dad walked past us to the garage. We followed, all 3 of us, and watched as he opened the boxes, pulling out photos, touching them with shaking hands. The wedding album. Pictures of Mom pregnant. Pictures of us as babies in her arms. Our whole family history. Discarded. "You told me you understood," he said without looking up. "When I introduced you to the kids, when we talked about marriage, you said you understood that Sarah would always be part of our family, that I would never stop loving her, that the children needed to remember their mother. And I do understand." Valerie's voice was trembling now. "But there's a difference between remembering and refusing to let go. This house felt like a mausoleum. I was trying to help all of you heal. By throwing away my dead wife's things." Dad stood up, and had never seen an enemy like this, cold and controlled but absolutely furious. "By destroying her garden? By erasing every sign that she existed? I didn't destroy anything. I updated. I modernized. I tried to create a home for us. This was already our home." Tyler's voice cracked. It was Mom's home. She chose the couch and painted the kitchen and planted every single flower in that garden. And you ripped it all out and threw it away and tried to pretend like she never existed. That's not what Valerie was crying now, but I couldn't tell if they were real tears or tactical ones. I just wanted to feel like this was my home too. Like I wasn't living in another woman's shadow. Is that so wrong? Yes, I said. When that woman was our mother. When she died and didn't choose to leave. When we're her children trying to hold on to pieces of her. Yes, it's wrong. Dad was still holding Mom's wedding album, his thumb tracing the edge of her face in one of the photos. When he finally looked up at Valerie, something in his expression had changed. I think you should stay with your sister for a few days, he said quietly. I need thank you to think. We all need thank you. Richard, please. Now, Valerie. She left 20 minutes later, and the three of us stood in the living room amid all her improvements. Surrounded by the absence of our mother. I'm sorry, Dad said finally. His voice was rough. I thought she seemed to understand. And I was so tired of being sad. I wanted to believe he stopped, shaking his head. I should have paid more attention. Should have protected your mother's memory better. Should have protected you both better. What are you going to do? I asked. The question hung in the air between us. Dad looked around at the sterile, modern room that used to be full of our life together. I don't know. But I know I can't stay with someone who would throw away Sarah's recipe box. Who would destroy her garden? He smiled, but it was sad. Your mother spent 5 years getting those roses to bloom properly. She talked to them. Did you know that? She'd go out there in the morning with her coffee and talk to each plant like they were her friends. I remember, I said. I used to think it was silly. It wasn't silly. Nothing about her was silly. She was. His voice broke. She was the love of my life. And I dishonored her memory by letting Valerie do this. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Tyler and I spent the next 3 days helping Dad undo what could be undone. We brought the boxes back inside. We hung the photos back on the walls, trying to remember where each one had been. We returned Mom's gardening tools to the shed. We placed her quilt back on the guest bed. We put Tyler's and my baby books back on the shelf. Some things couldn't be fixed. The recipe box was truly gone. I called every donation center and dumped in a 50-mile radius with no luck. The garden couldn't be replanted overnight. It would take years to restore what Mom had built. The furniture Valerie had donated was already sold. The kitchen would need to be repainted, the cabinets restored. But we tried. We tried because Mom deserved better than to be erased. Because our memories of her deserved a home. Because our history mattered. Dad filed for divorce 3 weeks later. Valerie contested it, claiming she'd been trying to help, that we'd poisoned Dad against her, that she deserved a second chance. But Dad was done. Whatever love or hope had felt for her had died the moment he saw those boxes in the garage. I'm 23 now. Tyler's 18, heading to college in the fall. Dad's been dating someone new, a kind, quiet woman named Jennifer, who teaches art at Tyler's high school. She's different from both Mom and Valerie. She doesn't try to replace anyone or erase anything. When she comes over, she admires the photos on our walls and asks Dad to tell her stories about the woman in them. She helped me plant new roses in Mom's garden, following the map I'd drawn from memory. The house will never be exactly what it was when Mom was alive. That's impossible, but it's ours again. The photos are back on the walls. I found some of Mom's recipes written in her handwriting in old emails she'd sent me from work, and I printed them out and put them in a new box. It's not the same as having the originals, but it's something. Tyler framed his favorite picture of Mom and hung it in his room. Dad keeps her coffee mug on the kitchen counter, right where she always left it. We talk about her now, not in hushed, Rami-stricken voices, but naturally, sharing memories and stories, laughing at her terrible puns and her stubborn refusal to ask for directions, and how she cried at every single movie, even comedies. Remembering her as she was imperfect and real and wholly herself. Valerie sends Dad emails sometimes, asking for reconciliation or at least closure. He doesn't respond. What closure is there to give someone who tried to erase your dead wife? What explanation would suffice? I've learned something through all of this, something painful but necessary. Not everyone who promises to honor your Ramif actually will. Some people see your Ramif as an obstacle to their happiness, something to be managed or alienated rather than respected. Valerie saw our mother not as a person to be remembered, but as competition to be erased. She couldn't coexist with Mom's memory, so she tried to destroy it. But she failed. Because mom isn't just in recipe boxes, or photos, or gardens. She's in the way I organize my spice cabinet, in the way Tyler tells terrible jokes, in the way dad still drinks his coffee at exactly 6:47 every morning, because that's when they used to sit together before work. She's in our habits and our hearts and our history. You can't donate that to Goodwill or throw it in the trash or paint over it with modern rame. I still have the painting the watercolor of the beach where my parents got engaged. It hangs in my apartment now, and every thank you when I look at it. I remember mom's voice explaining why she loved it so much. It's not about the beach itself, Shed said. It's about the memory of being there, feeling the sand and hearing the waves and knowing your whole life is about to change in the best way possible. That's what love is, a moment you want to hold on to forever. Some moments do last forever, not in things, necessarily, but in the way we carry them forward. That's what Valerie never understood. You can throw away every physical reminder, bulldoze every garden, donate every photo, and the love still remains. The memory still endures. The loss still matters. Mom is still here. She'll always be here. Not because we've kept her coffee mug or replanted her roses or hung her photos back on the wall, but because we refuse to forget, because we choose, every single day, to remember her, to honor her, to let her love shape who we become. And no amount of modern rame paint can change that.